what's up, Gordon? This is a quick demo video for you, just to show you your two sabers here. I've got your KR Bariss that I installed, and then I've got your Quigon that I basically installed this too. I don't know that I reused a whole lot of parts. I reused the pins that you had. I reused your speaker, and then the switch. The switch was a little off for the auxiliary right here. So I cut that down a little bit so that this shroud would slide over easily, but it still has a nice tactile feel to it. And then your main activation button here, of course, is the same. And then we'll just do this one first. So on both of these, I upgraded you to a Proffie 2.2. So you didn't ask me to do that, so that's on me. I just thought that while I was in there anyway, getting this done for you, and I might as well do that. So the one board for here anyway needed to be replaced. So, you know, I just replaced it with a 2.2. And then you did have a new 1.5 board for this, but like I said, I went ahead and upgraded that too. But to get in here, as you know, we're going to unscrew the pommel cap. Just want to make sure I don't drop it. And once we got the pommel cap off, you've got that little handle right there for your speaker, so we'll just pull that out. And then there is enough wire slack in here for you to reach in there and grab your kill key. I didn't grab my tweezers when I started this video, but hopefully I can just get this with my fingers. Yeah. So same kill key. I reused that. I did not reuse your recharge port. It looked pretty beat up. So I just went ahead and replaced that. We'll put this in. We'll go ahead and screw this pommel cap back on. Now what I did for you, we can hold down the activation button to turn that off. I gave you gesture controls, so you can use the activation button to turn it on. Auxiliary right here. And hold this down and turn it off. Or if you want to, you can just go like this. And then twist off. Just like that. Now I don't have a full length blade. I do have this test blade. We're gonna throw this in here. I was a little concerned at first because when I got the blade styles that you wanted, I started to look at them. They're all green. I actually think I went a little bit different color on the Quigon just because I had done the Bariss first and didn't like it, but this one obviously is green. So I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera well, but you do have your spark tip. And you have it going in your retraction as well. Or like this. And then we just, of course, cycle through your...
Meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Master Quigon.
So you can see all these are on here.
Goodbye, Chewbacca. Miss you. Lord Vader.
Authority Kingdom. That lightsaber was Luke's.
That was a stock font that I took off, actually.
Team C. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Team C. Smooth, smooth, smooth.
Just cycling through them.
Team C. Smooth. Kanduku.
This one I was playing around on some colors. I just wanted to make sure I had that spark tip right.
Meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Quigon. That is pretty cool. I like doing gesture controls. So that one's good to go. Let me take this blade out because I've got one test blade, so I've got to use it for everything. And then I'll put your kill key in there later. We'll just go straight into your Bariss. So a little bit about this Bariss. Your original box here for your bar graph fit fine, but the stock one is just, it was a tiny bit longer So, and then the radius was a bit bigger on the four corners. So I had to do a lot of sanding and filing on this guy to get it to sit down into the holder once it was inside the hilt. It was just a tiny bit. So like I did it on the box, and then I took everything out and I started doing some hand filing along the edges and the corners of the actual cutout in the hilt so that this guy would sit down in here. I did cut down the pegs a little bit on this guy so that it would sit down. If you don't like how it's sitting up, you can cut them a little bit more. I didn't feel comfortable cutting them any more than I did, because to me this was a good distance to be sitting up. Okay, so your buttons, I did have some extra buttons that came with this guy. Some looked like they were from TCSS, but the chassis that you've got, wherever you got this, right, it looked like a Goth 3D chassis, but it did not allow room for those particular switches to sit in this spot, because that's where your battery's at right here as well. And so you got your battery here. You've also got your holder right next to it for your bar graph that's sitting right here. So all the wires are underneath that. There was no room for that. So I did use the original switches and the pixel LEDs that were on top of those switches for this setup. So we're gonna go ahead and unscrew the pommel cap on this one as well. So this is a two-part chassis. The chassis in the back that slides out here, it's got your board and your speaker and then your recharge port right here. The top part won't come out, but if you want the top part to come out, there's a few things you're gonna have to do. So you're gonna have to loosen these two guys. You're gonna have to unscrew these, the activation switch and the auxiliary switch. You're gonna have to unscrew those all the way and pop those out. And then you're also gonna have to take this bar graph and pop it out. So once you do all that, and then push it from the emitter, everything will come out this way. When the first part comes out, don't pull on this to get everything out, because there is some wire slack there to let this slide out while the front half stays in place. So you don't want to stress those wires. I just take I was using a pencil with the eraser side right here and just pushing everything that way, so that I could, I probably put this thing in and out 12 different times while I was test fitting it and everything.
People keep telling me they know me.
We're gonna turn your, let me turn it off. Pull your kill key out, slide your pommel cap back on. So before we put the blade in, I'll show you that your bar graph works. So this one also has gesture controls, so that if you wanted to, you could just boom, right, and then twist off. So this takes a 1-inch diameter blade as well, so we're going to use the same test blade I used for the other one. And so it's a little difficult to catch that spark tip, but it's there. And this is nice and bright. I know you don't like to use any rainbow blades or barber blades or anything like that. So while testing this bar graph, this was the first one I'd ever done. So originally I wired up this one, it didn't work. It ended up being my fault. I wired up the original one just so that I could see what it did. And then I took all that out and I put this one back in. So there was a lot of work going into this just for my own understanding and my own knowledge. And then you know, if I set this to like rainbow or cycling or anything, it looks really cool. But per your request, I left it alone. And then we'll hit the auxiliary buttons in the back.
Meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Master Quigon.
Master wouldn't do.
And of course, these are all set to a default color, and then you can pick your own on the color wheel.
Darth Vader.
That thing is so cool. It's the first time I got to play with one. So anyway,
Light.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm ready to face the trials.
Darth Revan.
That lightsaber was
QC.
Tusken Terminator, that one is.
Ben Solo.
Anyway, so you can see everything's working well there too. This is a neat little saber for as small as it is. There's a lot going on. There was a lot of firsts for me on this one. First time I had done a regular bar graph. First time I had done a NeoPixel bar graph, and then I have also never before wired in small pixel LEDs to sit on top of the switches so that the switches would light up. There's a lot of wiring going on in these switches here, so I'd say like 2, 4, 10, just between the NeoPixels and the two switches, there's 10 wires coming off that right there. But there's a lot of cool stuff that happened with this and a learning experience for me. So appreciate you letting me do these for you, and I will get these in the mail to you tomorrow morning with a tracking number this afternoon. Thank you, buddy.